Sara Adams has been a UU for over 30 years. Presently, she is a member of two Unitarian Universalist congregations, UUBRidge, where she is also a member of our board, treasurer for this year, 2023-24, and the River Road UU congregation in Bethesda. She has also had a leadership position. She has taken part in and led several UU Wellspring programs, including the Sources of Unitarian Universalism. Today, she'll give us an overview of UU Wellspring and let us know what we might do in the coming year. This year's participants will also share their also. Sarah?
Good morning. It's so good to see so many of you. I thought you would have forgotten to come today. Well, today we're going to explore again, because we did this last year, what is Wellspring? And it's important to distinguish what is UU Wellspring. Because if you were to Google Wellspring, you will find out that other faiths like Methodists and other religions have a Wellspring program, and theirs is about their faith development. But the UU program is more about spiritual exploration and not religiosity or doctrine. So the word wellspring comes from an Old English word, wellspring, W-L-S-P-R-Y-I-N-G, even spelled by Old English, and it means spring. When it's used figuratively, wellspring really means an infinite amount of something, a source of continual supply, per Webster's dictionary, from Wellspring. A big supply of really beautiful information. The first course always we Jay trainer. Carl may know that Jennifer has now just moved her family to Colorado, where her husband works for the National Park Service. So we miss Jennifer. But she participated in the first Wellspring program we had here, and then in this one, she co-facilitated with me, as many of you are. The basis of any Wellspring is that we covenant on how we will be together. For example, there's no crosstalk, there's no debating, and there's no discussing what comes from another's heart. What comes from your heart is yours, and it's not ours to walk over or even debate over. One of the books we read was by Parker Palmer. Palmer is a Quaker, and he teaches Wellspring, and it's really permeates all through Wellspring, the fact that we say no fixing and no setting each other straight. So it gives us an opportunity to read, reflect, share, and when we speak something out loud, I think we own it in a different way than if we just think about it in our head. And so the fact that we have this safe environment to do that with an audience that has some understanding, but that's not going to talk back to you, it enhances our understanding of how we, it might get us over a hump that we've been stuck on because we've been upset about something all our lives, and then when we finally say it out loud, it may just dissipate. So as I mentioned, though, there are two types of Wellspring programs. One is the extended version that we've just been through, 10 months of study. We met 2 times a month. And these programs, the extending, we take a really deep dive into themes, and we always have to start with sources. So all the folks that took this year and the past year sources, we could choose to go on to another topic. And the other topics could be deep conversations, spiritual practices, sacred arts, spiritual ancestors, and faithful actions. I've facilitated many of these at River Road. In fact, this year I'm going to be doing faithful actions. But we can decide what we're going to do here. The other offering is a shorter offering, which does not have any prerequisites, and it's 6 sessions, and we did one this past year. And it's the opportunity to read, discuss a book together. Did it at the round table after a service 6 Sundays. And we read Braiding Sweetgrass. We have the opportunity, based on the fact that we paid for last year using that syllabus, to use it again if we started in this year. So that would be nice if we would decide to do that. Or we could decide to do one of the other books. Catherine has produced some printouts about what the other options are. But, so back to sources. Our 8 of you who want sources, we will figure out how to do sources again. And again, it's 2 times a month over 10 months. For us, the good time was Monday afternoons, and we met at my college, my cottage. I don't have a college. My cottage, and we had a lovely time together. We got to know each other in a different way. But the prior year, when we were still in COVID, we met through Zoom. And even this past year, every once in a while, we realized we're not going to all be in the same city. And so we even Zoomed a few sessions. And there were times when one person couldn't be there, we Zoomed them in. So we made do to try to continue our participation and live up to the getting through all the materials, because every session was very, very rich. At the start of the year, we were invited to the illusions of our own lives. We then searched for and found courage in prophetic voices. We learned about radical love, and we reimagined God. We became more mindful of the present moment, and we reached toward forgiveness. We listened to the teachings of nature, and we heard messages of hope and joy. We looked forward to death and saw our lives in a new light. We explored the sources of Unitarian Universalism, and there are 8 of them. Prophetic voices, world religions, Jewish and Christian teachings, earth-centered spirituality, humanist teachings, and death and dying. We met twice a month, as I've said, but the intent was to broaden our knowledge and to develop for our own selves a spiritual practice that would lead us to have a more joyful life, increase our commitment to our congregation and to our religion, and to act faithfully toward justice in our world. So I've got 3 volunteers to help you understand and tell you more about what it meant to them. They're going to, in their own words, tell you a little bit about what their own experience was and some of the segments that were made. So first is going to be Karen Allen, and then Anna Gross will be next, and then Catherine will be last, and then I'll do the wrap-up. And then we'll have congregational dialogue where you can ask questions.
I didn't like all the readings that we did. I liked some of them, but the amount that had to be read, if you wanted to get through everything, was a little daunting, especially because I took both of the classes. So that intensified it. But the more, especially the things that we talked about more recently, really, some things really spoke to me, and I think will change my, and one of them, there's a poem written by Jan Tadeo, whom I understand is the sister of Kendra Hendren, who has been with this congregation many years ago. And I wanted to read this poem just because it really spoke to me, and it might speak to you as well. The storm outside echoes the storm raging within my soul. So many people in pain, so much grief. Too many causes and campaigns fill my mailboxes, sap my energy, beg for my money. 3 things I must do. Only 3 things? You've got to be kidding. Which 3 do I choose? Books and letters, magnets and movies implore me to dance as if no one is watching, learn 7 habits, and make 4 agreements, give generously, vote often myself. Yet hundreds, thousands, millions live with hunger and thirst, in poverty, enduring violence and disease. Did Mother Teresa, Martin, or Gandhi cry out with despair from the darkness of overwhelm? What 3 things did they choose? 3 things. 3 things we must do. Is it to act in kindness, serve, love God and your neighbor even as you love yourself? But where do I start? So much thoughtlessness, hatred, and fear. Too little justice. Too much selfishness. Where is God? 3 things? 7 principles, 10 commandments, 12 steps, all number of things speak to us. And yet, we must choose. We choose to do something. So 3 things may be the right number, not too few, not too many, but which 3 things shall I do? Will you do? Here's an adage I've always liked. Don't just do something, stand there. Stand in the surf or sit on a rock or lay your body across the earthy loam and be quiet. Very quiet. You hear it? That still small voice? The echo of your soul reverberating with the call to your own true self to emerge? Then the calm within becomes the calm without. The storm blows over, the sun recovers its position of strength, and that glorious symbol of hope and unity emerges across the sky. The end of the 3 things you must do. Go outside yourself and know the needs of the world. Go within and discover your life-given gifts. Then arch yourself like a rainbow bridge between the 2 and create a more beautiful world.
To be for me. Okay, can you hear me? Oh, yeah. Oh, perfect. Thank you. This is challenge for me, especially my English, but I'm going to make it. Okay, before I start, I want to express my gratitude to Sara. Thank you, Sara, because she made this and all my team. Because this Wellspring is moving and is joyful. We have fun. Was the Lord to read, but I want to talk with something I feel connected. It was this book. It's calling Herwood. It's writing by Barbara Baker, and the book says the art of living with the end in mind. And I taken this book and I was reading in the park, and some people was walking and say me, "What are you reading?" And I say, "The art of living with the end in mind." Say, "Oh, this is scary. I don't want to hear about my end." and what happened with Barbara Baker, who write the book, she inspired us to follow of curiosity of death. This is the most serious topic. While I am fascinated to know more about it, some people don't like it, don't want to explore it. Is that we are faced the end. Barbara Baker close to transcend death, her loved ones, friends, and strangers. She was volunteer in the hospices, and she learning from these losses and writing for her own experience and her heart, showing us how to present and is interviewed with the past. The present and the past is matched. And it encourage exploration of pain. We're learning about death with love and loss. I learned this with empathy. I feel connected to book because my peak moments, because I had lost in the past 2 years my husband, my uncles, my cousin, my mom, my brother-in-law. All these people pass away. And when we have the journey in Wellspring, we have deep questions. And these questions made me connected more with death. We're thinking about how we want to die, how, when. And I was very grateful that when Bruce needed me more, I was there, touching his hand. When my mom needs more in the time he passed away, I was there, touching her hands. And I feel pity about my brother-in-law. He passed away and nobody was in his home. I was connected to thinking what we are going to do right now, to thinking how we are going to face our death. And with Wellsprings, we practice the spiritual practice. I want more focus in gratitude, gratitude for life, gratitude for everything around me, and how we learning that forgiveness set me free, and the power of love. I want to read something that I like about she write. I had no true understanding about what happened to us when we die. But I don't believe this. Just as a tree, it may add of fiery life and its death, its beginning and its ends, to see too are we. Someday, in time and with a little grace, each of us in our individual lives will form her wood. And I like this, but there was more things. If we do it well, if we careful tend to our lives, watering the soil, minding the thorns, and nourish the memories of our loved ones, we may come to understand grieving of a beautiful expression of love. And someday, that love may even bear roses. Thank you for listening me. I know it's very hard, my accent, my English, some person fall asleep, and it's beautiful. Thank you. It was challenging. Thank you, sir.
Hello, I'm Catherine Trainer. I'm going to speak just a little bit about the music in Wellspring Sources, and then a bit about the Wellspring Reads Sacred Earth program of braiding sweetgrass. Music is an integral part of our bi-monthly Sources sessions as we investigated and discovered our path through our Unitarian Universalist journey. At the beginning of each session, we heard music from all kinds of different places: classical orchestrations, jazz interpretations, single instruments like indigenous flute or cello or guitar, and lots of songs from singer-songwriters. Some of the pieces included, but most of them were new to me. We heard music and songs from the Jewish tradition and from contemporary spiritual sources. We also each contributed our own favorite pieces from time to time. Each piece helped to bridge us from the worldly thoughts and concerns we brought with us into Sarah's beautiful, crossing over into a contemplative and spiritual mind that helped lead us in our discussions. Now, about braiding sweetgrass, which I had not read before. Some of the materials, some of this is information about braiding sweetgrass that I got from the Wellspring site. I'm not going to read it all. Wellspring Sacred Earth, part of Wellspring Reads, is a 6-session program with readings and experiences that are dear to our Unitarian Universalist hearts. Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer was our text, and it combines the wisdom of indigenous understandings of reciprocity with the sacred earth and with spiritual practices that connect our spirit to nature. Robin Wall Kimmerer refers to climate chaos and climate change in braiding sweetgrass as a sense of the loss of relationship with the earth. Some participants are probably drawn to engage in this work in order to support and sustain their climate justice work. There's more, but I think I'm just going to read a quick excerpt. Many grasses undergo a physiological change known as compensatory growth, in which the plant compensates for loss of foliage by quickly growing more. It seems counterintuitive. Grazes down a sward of fresh grass, it actually grows faster in response. This helps the plant recover, but also for dinner later in the season. It has even been discovered that there is an enzyme in the saliva of buffalo that actually stimulates grass growth. To say nothing of the fertilizer, of course, produced by the passing herd. grass gives to buffalo. The system is well balanced, but only if the herd uses the grass respectfully. Free-range buffalo graze and move on, not returning to the same place for many months. Thus, they obey the rule of not taking more than half, of not overgrazing. It also be true for people. We are no more than buffalo, and no less, governed by the same natural laws. And this, we need acts of restoration, not only for polluted waters and degraded lands, but also with our relationship to the world. We need to restore honor to the way we live, so that when we don't have to avert our eyes with shame, so that we can hold our heads up high and receive the respectful acknowledgement of the rest of Earth's beings. Data to support her beliefs in reciprocity and restoration. As we read and then went home to tend our home gardens, I often thought about the healthful goodness that I receive from my vegetable garden and others, and the helping tasks I am learning to provide for the soil in which they grow, never taking more than what is generously offered, and always returning goodness to the earth.
So I hope you now realize how a sense of personal purpose and meaning arises from our UU Wellspring experience, which is a combination of spiritual practice, spiritual companionship, readings, and heartwarming sessions. A sustaining joy emerges while deepening commitment to making change in ourselves and in our world.